Good morning, and welcome to the New York Buddhist Church second virtual service, broadcast live. We hope that you will be able to enjoy today's service from home through the internet. Please listen attentively and respectfully, and the New York Buddhist Church Hondo will come to you. We will begin today's service with the Vandanna and Tisaranna, led by Minister's Assistant Isabel Shinshu Bernard. Following this, we will have the chanting of the Juseige with Nembutsu and Ekoku. Please join your hands together in Gassho and let us chant together. You may also wish to offer incense during the chanting of Sutra. After Sutra, we will have the reading of the Jodo Shinshu Creed in English and Japanese, led by Minister's Assistant Isabel Shinshu Bernard. Reverend Earl Ikeda will lead the Gobunsho, Matsudai Muchi no Sho, followed by his Dharma talk. And we will end service, we will sing the Nembutsu together, NAMU AMIDA.
Arahato Good morning. Jodo Shinshu Creed, number 1. We rely upon Tathagata AMIDA with our whole heart for the enlightenment in the life to come, abstaining from all sundry practices and teachings, and giving up the trust in our powerless self. We believe that the assurance of birth comes at the very moment we entrust, and we call the name NAMU AMIDA BUTSU in joy and gratitude for the Buddha's compassion. We also acknowledge gratefully the benign benevolence of our founder and the succeeding masters who have led us to believe in this profound teaching, and we do endeavor now to follow throughout our lives the way laid down for us. Jodo Shinshu no Seikatsu Shinjo. Shitotsu. Mihotoke no Chikai o Shinji. Totoi mina o Otonai Tsutsu. Tsuyoku Akaruku Ikinuki Masu. Shitotsu. Mihotoke no Hikari o Aogi. Tsune ni Wagami o Karimite. Kansha no Uchi ni Hagemimasu. Shitotsu. Mihotoke no Oshie ni Shitagai. Tadashi Michi wo Kakiki wakate. Makoto no Minori wo Hiromimasu. Shitotsu. Mihotoke no Megumi o Yorokobi. Tagai ni Uyamai Tasuke ai. Shakai no Tame ni Tsukushimasu. Namandabutsu. 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 Namandabutsu.
Good morning. This morning's Gobunsho will be Matsudai Muchi no Sho. Please allow me to read the traditional language first and then the English translation. Matsudai Muchi no 在家始終の何女足らん友柄は心を一つにして阿弥陀仏と深く頼み参らせてさらいに世の方へ心を振らず一心一向に仏助けたまえと申さん主上ば。たとえ在後は人寿なりとも、必ず皆如来は救いましますべし。これすなわち、第18の念仏往生の誓願の心なり。格のごとく欠場しての上には寝ても覚めても命のあらん限りは称名念仏すべきものなりあなかしこあなかしこMatsudai Muchi no Sho, chapter on the enlightened beings in this final age. In this final age of extreme uncertainty, all unenlightened men and women like ourselves, who single-mindedly and devotedly rely on Amida's 18th vow, no matter how heavy the weight of our evil karma may be, will be assured of deliverance through the power of Amida Buddha. Through the power of Amida's primal vow. This is the meaning of the 18th vow, the primal vow, which assures spiritual rebirth through the essence or the meaning behind Namo Amida Butsu. Once you are convinced of this firmly, we should continuously recite Namo Amida Butsu for the rest of our lives with deep reverence and gratitude. With reverence, I remain. Namo Amida Butsu. Good morning, everyone. This is the second live stream broadcast that we're doing, and I'm getting a little over my fright, but at the same time, I'm very grateful that we'll be receiving so many wonderful positive calls or texts from many, many people from all over the place. I even had friends from Hawaii who happened to be tuning in or, for whatever reason, found it on the YouTube or in our website page. I'm very, very grateful that we're able to reach, and thanks to this modern age, the message or the Dharma itself is widely spread. Another good way of looking at this also is that we are not the only temple that are going live or on YouTube. Many, many temples are doing the same thing. They're doing some kind of outreach to give each and every one of us some sense of hope, some sense of well-being. So you can hear a variety of messages from various perspectives, from various great teachers. Thank you again. Today I wanted to talk about Rennyo Shonin, and today being Rennyo Shonin's memorial, or the day remembered Rennyo Shonin, perhaps something to think about and hopefully bring it into today's world. Who was Rennyo Shonin? Historically, he was his ancestor was Shinran Shonin, so he's, I guess they would say, direct line or direct blood. And in his youth, he had a very difficult time. It is said that he was raised by his stepmother, not by his real mother. And whether historically it was said that they had a good time or not, I really don't know. However, it seems in his memoirs that sometimes it was difficult. However, Rennyo Shonin dedicated himself to trying to understand the essence of Shinran Shonin and also what Shinran was trying to say. And he made a pledge at a very young age that he would restore the Honganji to its peak, which means that during the time of Rennyo, that there was a definite decline in the Jodo Shinshu Honganji Ha. And therefore he felt that, in Japanese would say, mottainai, that it was very unfortunate that people didn't truly understand the essence of Shinran's messages. And therefore he devoted his life to say, I will do this. I will bring back the teachings of Shinran as appropriate to his time. And therefore, that reason, he is often referred to as the restorer. And, you know, when I think about then and now, Rennyo Shonin historically was living at a time there's a lot of turmoil. I'm sure that there are famines. I'm sure that there are political and, I guess, warlike crises going on. And because there are famines, possibly even widespread epidemics. I'm not sure about the global warming, but anyway, I'm sure there are issues that they all were concerned about. And I think what made Rennyo Shonin so dynamic, and what also made Shakyamuni Buddha and Shinran Shonin so dynamic, it was that they were able to bring the dynamics or perhaps the issues of that time to a point where everyone could understand what was going on. And through that, understand perhaps the essence of what NAMU AMIDA BUTSU is. Perhaps understand what the Buddhist teachings are about. It's not about a place that's far away, but it's about the here and the now. It's about what's going on in our everyday lives. And every one of us, especially here in New York, are aware of what's going on. Within this past few days, it was announced that New York City is the epicenter, the very center, the very heart, with the greatest number of coronavirus cases coming out. And every day we see the numbers going up and up and up. I'd like to say that when I look at the people who are out there to help us, our doctors, our supporters, each one in their own way reminds me of Rennyo Shonin, that each and every one of us reflects the Nembutsu teachings. Each and every one of them is doing their best to make us aware of what's going on, the realities of today. Historically, yes, there may be a difference in the time. However, the issues of all human beings, the conditions of all human beings are still the same. And fortunately or unfortunately, it will continue to be that way in the future. But I'd like to think about why we received human life as well. The terminology for human life or receiving human form in the Buddhist tradition is ki, K-I. And my teacher said to me, the meaning behind ki is that it has the ability to make changes. And therefore, when you think about history, which is a compiling of things that happened in the past, everything is based upon we as humans, what we thought, what we did. And so it is that we're at a critical point now. And if Rennyo was here, I would often ask, or probably say, what would he say? He was always running away because he was such a charismatic individual, well-versed. He was able to deliver a message very well, that quite often he was feared. And so historically, Rennyo Shonin himself was constantly moving from one area to another for his life. But then when I look at the reality of today, aren't we all in our own way looking for some way to regain our lives, to regain the spirit that's going on? Last week I made an unusual statement. I said we need to thank the coronavirus. And some people may have had a doubt in their faith as if to say, what are you talking about? However, you know, when we have crises such as these, it brings us back to the basics itself. It asks us to look deep within and not just one way, looking out. I feel as if too many of us are just looking out there, but not seriously looking inward. There has to be a connection between both, in and out. And so last week I used the word wisdom. And I'd like to thank Dr. Professor Reverend Nobuo Haneda for defining wisdom. He said there are two kinds of wisdom. The Japanese word or the Buddhist terminology is chi-e, chi-e. Chi-e means wisdom. However, one means wisdom that one inquires when one learns something from an outside source. That's one form of wisdom. The other is that the wisdom that's already within each and every one of us. Quite often we call it Buddha nature. This eternal wisdom, when it's touched by something that is very profound, very deep, awakens. And this wisdom by itself, without having to think, thinks about others, connects with the reality of all the things that go around us. And slowly by slowly, this wisdom also becomes what is known as compassion. So when we say wisdom in Buddhism, Buddhism is synonymous with compassion. There is no compassion without wisdom. There is no wisdom without compassion. In the English terminology, we have two separate words. But in the Buddhist vocabulary, they're both the same and inseparable. And so someone asked me in situations like this, what should we do? The word that we often use is called mompo. Mompo means to hear the Dharma. Listen, the Dharma refers to that which is true and real. As we listen to what's going on with all the news broadcasts and all the spots that we get on internet or wherever, these are individuals who, from the best of their knowledge, trying to share something that will awaken each and every one of us, to inspire that spark deep within each and every one of us, so we see a different picture, a deeper picture of the reality of what's going on. However, I ask, not only myself, but I ask you as well, how many of us are truly listening? You know, I had a professor who was often asked to be in Japan, the witness of Nakodo, when somebody got married. He was like the sponsor. And he was saying to me, all my students ask me, and it seems that many of them have been successful in their marriages. And we asked, Sensei, how is that possible? And when he would speak to his students, he would say, always think of you as being the worst person in the world. And how grateful I am that this person would choose me or be my partner in life. So maybe we can use that same psychology. If we were to imagine it, even if each and every one of us has the disease, how would we treat ourselves? But more importantly, how would we treat the people around us? Unfortunately, the reality is the disease does not discriminate. It does not discriminate whether you're young or you're old. And although we are focusing on the elderly and saying, please be careful, in a report that I heard from Governor Cuomo, it said that about 50%, maybe even more, of the recent cases are not seniors. They are young people. So we can't ever think that I'm not a victim. And even if you do think that you are not a victim, if for any reason other than yourself, think about the people around you, your family, your friends. I see too many people, especially young ones, although we're trying to practice distant socialization, or I guess when we have to stay so many feet apart, people are still getting together, sharing the same food, and then going home. Who knows what happens during those times that you're together? Who knows who you met? Yet, your friends may be free of any kind of illness, but just one small germ, I guess, or some incident may allow you to carry that home and affect everyone else at home. This is who and what we are. Thinking about ourselves. And the Gobunsho I read, Matsudai Muchi no Sho, in this closing era, doesn't mean this is the end. No. It means how far we've deviated from the truth. How far we've come to understanding the realities of things. The purpose of having human life is to be able to make, as I mentioned earlier, decisions for the future. Now is our time. Now is our time to set not only examples, but use ourselves as a means to make things better for all beings. The reality is that even if scientists find a cure for this disease, we know that from past experience, from past history, that somehow a stronger strain of the same virus comes out, and there is no end. As human beings, we can, when we open our hearts and minds to connect with the out and in through wisdom, find a means of which we can all support each other, simply because we're Sangha, one big universal family. But as I close, I'd like to say thank you to the countless numbers of unseen heroes that are out there. As you know, the patients who are ill in hospitals, the social workers, everyone else that's reaching out to us, they have families as well. Just because you're a doctor, as one has stated, does not mean that we're immune to what's going on now. These individuals are sacrificing their lives, their families, everything else so that we can live a carefree life, so that we can walk the streets and maybe even to some degree at its worst, not even pay attention and think about them. So I'd like to ask everyone here, no one knows. There is no definite answer as to who, why, what, and what's going to happen. However, we can all collectively try our best to be of one heart, of one mind, to think of what is best for each other, and together, truly come together. So as we reflect upon the reality of today and Rennyo Shonin being his memorial, I'd like to think that because Rennyo, in spite of all the difficulties that were going on in his life, was able to transcend, come out to be a great leader, to give hope, strength, and courage to all the people around him. So we honor him today for not only his great thoughts, but his willingness to sacrifice himself to be able to help us to understand the meaning and the purpose of our lives. How truly, truly grateful we are. So I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to turn into our YouTube broadcast, and also for the countless number of people that are around us that we do not even notice, the individuals we take for granted, who are helping us in so many wonderful ways. In essence, we too, let's try to do our part as well. How grateful, how grateful. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda.